I'm Sinéad Kent and I'm from Wolverhampton. Can we start again? Please. Is this filming now? When I was at school, I always wanted to be an actress growing up. That's what I wanted. Hollywood, Oscars side of, not respectable acting, like doing it properly. I wanted the whole cheap road to fame kind of acting. I don't know why, but that's what you wanted. And I did drama at GCSE and A-level with a mind to go on and do it for my degree. And it was during the GCSE really that we started, as well as recreating scenes from other plays in class, we'd do scenes from our own scripts. And I am a control freak, and I did kind of get a bit, I'll do the script, I'll bring the script in and then you just act it out. So that was like my first experience, not my first experience of writing, but when I started to take it seriously. So when I was that age. And then when I came to choosing my degree, I'd had my heart set on going to university in Aberystwyth and doing a drama degree, because I knew someone who'd done it years before and she'd had a lot of success and a lot of fun. So I thought that, and that's always what I'd wanted to do from when I was like 12, 13, that had been the plan. And when I got to choosing my degree, I sort of went out on a limb and I just went for creative writing at Derby. Didn't know anything really about the course or about the university. Just a moment of madness. I've had a lot of moments of madness since then. I feel like that's where it started, that decision. And then of course when you're studying for it, you have to take it seriously because you have to get that degree that you've dragged yourself into. So I did start taking it seriously then. But I mean, I've always liked writing. There was a story I wrote. I started it when I was 14. I finished it probably when I was 15 or 16. So again, the same time that I started getting into script writing. And it's a story called Never Seen the Sky, and you can see the redrafted version in my short story collection. And I used to take that notebook into class and I'd write it longhand when I should have been doing my GCSE work, and I'd pass the book round to my friends and they'd read a chapter, because it's written in 12 chapters, so I'd write a chapter in a class and pass it round, and then they'd pass it back and they'd all say, oh yes, carry on, it's good. And when I finished that, I was so pleased with it. I mean, since I've read it back and thought that's so embarrassing, I'm going to cut half of it out, which is what I did. But back then I was so pleased with it. I guess that's when the seed was planted to be a writer. And then doing it at uni just cemented it, and I haven't stopped. Well, I try not to stick to one style because I read quite widely. I read a lot of different authors. I mean, my preferred genre is sort of fantasy, sci-fi, but I'll read anything really, if it's in the house, if it's in my hands. So I try to take a little bit of influence from everything that I read. I mean, my favourite author is Stephen King, and I've always been a fan of his very brutal way of dealing with characters. You show any kind of attachment to a character and they're dead. And I mean, it's heartbreaking as a reader, but as a writer, it's very satisfying to just say, oh, well, just kill that character, who cares? So I tried to have that no-nonsense approach in my writing. I also put a lot of my sense of humour into my writing. I don't know if it's just because I'm British or just because where I'm from in Britain, but extremely sarcastic. I've got you probably noticed, very dry tone, very deadpan, and I like to put that into the writing because it makes me laugh. And I always think at the end of the day, even if nobody else likes this story, it's exactly my sense of humour, so I'm going to laugh when I read it back. So that's good. But yeah, style-wise, I guess I don't really go much of a description. I like to keep things short and sweet and choppy, kind of keep the pace up, maybe a bit of tension. But yeah, try and keep it a little bit funny, makes you feel better. Well, literary influences, Stephen King, I've got every book of his apart from one. And that's no mean feat because he's written about 50 books. He's a huge influence, particularly his. I feel like Stephen King is on another level in terms of he believes what he's writing is real. Like his Dark Tower series is my favourite work of his, and I think that he's just channeling something there. It's not just fiction, it's not just make believe. He actually believes that, you know, it's actually happening, and I believe it as the reader. So I like that because he just seems so committed to me, and it seems natural to him that every book he writes is brilliant. I guess I'm biased. Some people don't like his work, and I just don't get it. I just think everything he does is brilliant. I like a lot of poetry. I read a lot of poetry. Anno Birkin is a poet who really inspires me. Little known in the grand scheme of things, but if you got a chance to pick up his book, which I know you have, then I think because he was so young, it kind of touched on our generation, which I hadn't read a poet before then who had written so young and so much. Otherwise, I like Keats. I like Byron more for his lifestyle. Just didn't give a damn, and I love that. Oscar Wilde is a big inspiration. I guess not so much influence on my actual writing, but you think of the kind of life that you want to live and the kind of legacy you want to leave. They're the kind of people I look up to. And then outside of writing, I think inspiration and influence. I like going for a walk on my own with just my headphones on and just looking at things. So I'm more of a detached viewer rather than being involved. But you never know what you see. I think sometimes you get the best ideas just walking and maybe just hearing a sentence from somebody's conversation. Like I was walking home one day when I lived in Derby, and I heard somebody say something about, and then they took the body out the boot. And I didn't hear anything else that was said, but I then went home and got a story out of that because it was just so fascinating. So I guess being aware of what's around you, trying to pick up on little things that influences me. The little things, I like the little things.